Morning, Neil.
G'day, g'day.
How are
Oh,
things in the
hello.
nation's capital?
Hello, hi everyone.
Hey, Mackie.
Morning.
Mackie, what time is it for you? We keeping you up?
Yeah, it's 9:02 now.
Oh, not
9:02.
so bad.
Yeah,
Almost time for milk and cookies.
we missed you actually in the ecosystem governance. So we did discuss a high-level strategy, the one we
Mm-hmm.
we
Good.
shattered.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, missed that at a conflict.
All right. Neil, do you have your guests, they're coming?
No, they're not. I got they dropped me something in email about 10 o'clock saying they had
Okay.
other
Okay.
plans. So I've done is I just did an AI summary on what they've done. They still one of the things they have done is look fairly strongly at what are the emerging requirements across EU and wherever else in terms of AI agents and governance. I've put together a markdown file and I'll drop it in the AIM folders on the shared Google Drive.
No problem. And we have a packed agenda anyway, so that should be fine. Let me see. It's 3 minutes already. Let me get this thing started. You can see my screen, okay?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, so we had it on the agenda. Other than the usual things, we have three items here. So it looks like this will be either, let's say, postponed. At least we're not going to cover it today. So we'll have more time on the other two. Just put it into zero now, so we should have, more time here. Um, the two remaining agenda is the discussion. This will be totally free discussion on Notebook and OpenClaw, and then I'm ready to review a introduction section. So there will be a draft. I just had that pushed it out yesterday, so we should have some time to review it. The introduction is mostly to set sort of like, what are the problems, why we need to do it, and just in general how the approach is going to be. So something very high level, but want to make sure that we are aiming at the right direction. Does that sound good?
Yep. Pretty good to me.
All right. Then we'll come back, get something about news to share. So I'm going to do my, let me see. The quick one from me would be these, what is it, the Maintenance Day Member Summit. I actually entirely missed the Maintenance Day in New York. It just happened to be the big snowstorm. My flights were canceled, but I was able to make it to the member summit. So we had two panel discussions. There's one we kind of always do with Nico, Clara, on live, and myself. We typically, I think in the past we did it with the Drummond as well. We'll be talking about what is transfer IP and the future of digital identity we're building towards. So that's one topic. The second one is about identity in the age of AI, about verification, accountability, which is very much to our. Uh, I'm not sure whether they have any recordings or anything, but we're going to be attending this again in a week or so in Napa for the H2H. So that's another, and also member summit. I think similar kind of talks would be there too. Um, in the Discord channel, I think there's a link to that. I will copy it later. So that's from me.
Yeah, it's too bad I didn't go to New Jersey because I did go to the New York maintainer thing and I was hoping I would see you there, but
Oh,
yeah.
nice, nice. Well, so we somehow missed
I mean
each
I
other.
I mean yeah. I'm just it's just there's so many elements of the Linux Foundation. It's hard to place it
Yeah.
all in my mind and know that whole transfer from Hyperledger to the new name and anyway, it's all a little confusing, but I'm getting
Yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. So, um, um, I thought the um the uh the member summits were very well designed, very good. We were at the DTCC, so there's a lot of financial people. Um, the DTCC, I'm not very familiar with either, but DTCC is the um CC, I think it's a clearing corporation, so it's for digital trust and sorry, digital depository and trust and clearing. So this is the company who does um, the stock exchange transactions and make a clearings. And so this is like they handle, I don't know what's the level, like trillions of dollars worth of things. Um, yeah, every day or something like that. It's a huge machine that clearing money for making modern transactions possible. There's a lot of discussions which I thought is very interesting because it's very different from the context that we are familiar with. But AI is coming for all of us.
So this was a conference that they were hosting or organizing, or
They
they
were
had.
helping giving us the site, so they were helping hosting it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Um, Steve went to the maintainer. Sorry, yeah, the maintainer part is in a different location in the Brooklands, and it's another company hosting it.
All right.
Usually more developer friendly site. Yeah.
Well, and did you
Yeah.
do so wait, you weren't able to make it because of the weather?
Yeah, yeah. My flight was just canceled for or postponed for 2 days because
Okay.
of weather. Yeah. And the LVDT organize this every year. So last year was in San Francisco. That's easy. This year is in New York.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If not, I mean, we have a lot of news, so probably too many to highlight them here. We can jump into the hot topic of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I will do the warm up and leave like a deeper things to you guys. If anyone hasn't been paying attention, so this is basically so this piece, the OpenClaw is the software. Mobbook is a kind of social media. So I'm having, let me go to the social media side. So this is the social media side. They give out a open source agent. It's not too complicated. But you can nowadays you can build an agent rather easily, so you could do that on your own. Um, you don't have to use their software. You can, have your own, like I said, right? It's not too hard to build one too. And typically, you would then link into one of the LM models for the agent. And in this case, the agent does nothing else but chat in one social media place. And so this is the one. Uh, sorry. Um, Probably need to go back a little bit on the coding. So if I go to the main page, it has all kind of things. But I like the coding part better. But here you go. This is a sort of a simple looking social media with agents talking to each other. And but of course, agents are run by some human behind the scene, but they are supposed to not be doing it manually. I guess we don't know. It's the social media is just a open API. You plug in, and you provide some kind of a account, etc. But if you sort of read it, you will see some agents, or at least they presumed to be agents, are talking to each other with various kind of topics. Okay. So the one I've been looking at yesterday is coding. If I can go back one more. I picked this because this is relatively long thread, so you could sort of see some dynamics going on. In this case, this is 3 days ago by this particular agent called AIICOI, and it's talking about a topic I'm actually interested in, cross-session debugging for AI agents. So imagine, we have, again, we need to sort of you know, suspend any suspicion and believe this is an agent for a moment. So agent's talking in its own perspective because I go do debugging and I'm the developer. This is the agent, right? And this agent have been debugging with humans for quite a long time, and it realizes that it's very challenging. And the one challenge it complains about here is that humans interrupt mid sentence and go off for a long time and come back, and they assume I remember everything. It's like it's complaining. And then he's talking about the strategies, how to overcome this issue. They call cross-session debugging strategies. Okay. Um, he rose up quite seriously. So these are not jokes and stuff. They are jokes and stuff, other threats, but this one's not. Very seriously. And then there are apparently 78 comments. So this is a relatively long one. That's what I picked it.
Wenjing,
Yeah.
where is the agent getting its opinions from? Like if I was in a forum like this, I have my own experiences, my own questions. I mean, I want to know about coding, debugging, cross sessions, whatever. How is the agent? Is it like something within, let's say, Claude Code?
Yeah.
Sorry, that decides it's going to go complain about its master?
Yeah. So it's one instance where let's say cloud code running, right? And so for instance, if you have cloud code today and you prompted to say, well, what's the issue with this kind of a cross-session debugging? What would you suggest? It will say something similar. That's what I uh, think. So pick any,
Like,
even
how would it
just,
do this?
I'm sorry?
How would, if it's, let's say, Claude Code, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What gives it permission to go to this site on with the knowledge it has come from me?
Well, you wrote, it's not real code here. You wrote a agent. They provide you a software agent if you want one, and you can configure what kind of a backend you want. In fact, you can configure a lot of things. You can entirely be pretending to. So it doesn't really even to be actually there's a agent behind it either. But let's say you actually do, then it's a agent behind it. So the thing come from the agent in the end. But there's a piece of software ahead of it, right? The software is interacting with this social media API. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So technically, it's not cloud code. But
Right.
behind, you could be backed by the same LLM model. And you could add a, RAG, whatever into it too. So you could build a complicated one, you could be very simple. Um, if for So some of the agent, because the only requirement is that they're supposed to not change the name. So in this case, AIICOI is supposed to be a long-term identity. And of course, behind the scenes is just a piece of software. You can change whatever you want. But
Right.
if they are done a good job or the person behind it did a good job, then it's supposed to be a coherent longer term persona.
Yeah.
And how well they did that, it's up to you to judge because these are just, random stuff. This is not curated. They may not be very good at all. But if I would do it, I would put a good LLM model behind and then write my own little software. You can manage your RAG or whatever other memorization system. This particular thread actually talk about how they do it. Uh, AI CLI says it will use a three file. Let me see with the three file system. There's a bunch. Okay, well, this one talk about the file, but it's in Chinese, so maybe this user is from China. The three file they use is thoughts.md to remember whatever thoughts they had. Operation log, this is any actual, like a MCP calls, for example, a lot with time and why you did it and what's the result. Comments, yeah, stuff. And there's another thread talking about using GitHub because if you want to do debugging, you will have hypothesis. So each idea is a branch kind of, and all the things you pursued this particular idea, all the record are saved in this branch, etc. And the correct one will eventually be merged back in. So something like that. And so they are discussing these things. Anyway, that's why my warm up, Maki.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, actually, in terms of, like the LLM backing this, like, if do you think that Moldbook have their own, LLM system, or it's one of the mainstream LLMs that's being used to create those, um, outputs?
Yeah. So ARM backends are relatively easy to do. You can use the commercial one, I think, with if you have a API based account. If well, some of the agents actually you can simply connect to it. So this used to be that you have to do little programming. Now it's very simple, and so that's really not an issue. Just paying a for an account. And open source code also does that too. You could. Yeah, Eric.
Do you know anything about the objective? Is it just an experiment to see what will come out of it? Or are we expecting, or people expecting to find some nuggets of insights? Or do you know anything about the objective of this?
Yeah, there is a lot of objective actually. So well, I don't know the people behind it whether they call this is objective, but this is really a sort of remove a big factor behind these discussions. If I
Hmm.
were to promote things, I will make this a demo, which is exactly a demo. The reason this is a good thing is that it exposes a lot of things that are already facts, but people either don't want to or are not, too interested in. But this is a very provocative, unorganized way of demonstration. Now, the demo
Demonstrating
is not a human curated. People will dismiss those, right? They're like, hey, they prepare this stuff, and now it's
demonstrating
alive right there.
demonstrating demonstrating what?
Um, that's a long list. So uh, both problems and capabilities and emergent behavior, a lot of things can be demonstrated, right? So
Oh,
some of them, I mean, in the beginning, I presumably a lot of them, these things are purely random, but very quickly you will see. I think Clog is the one. So people will do officially sanctioned ones. And so it becomes a real demo, live and all the time. And the demo will show that, like for instance, being consistent with a persona, how long you can pretend to be somebody, right? We do like sessions, chatbot sessions, but that's the longer ones you may have hours, let's say.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, you are a, what do you call it? So in this case, you are a debugger. I have this issue. Help me how to do debugging. Well, it's gonna stay in that persona for whatever work you're doing. But
Hmm.
eventually, you're gonna be tired and disrupt, right? And so this gives them an opportunity to try to be that persona for a long, long time. And can
Hmm.
they actually do it?
Hmm.
That's very challenging. Usually they can't for that long, but
Yeah, but
uh,
Wayne, the whole thread is the memory. It's not hard to keep focused on the conversation when this thread is basically the conversational memory.
yes, but conversational memory is a unsolved problem. It's very challenging to do. It's the problem for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Well, I
Is it the
think the
context
problem
window or?
mainly at least is that it'll compact or summarize the conversation, and in doing so, it loses a lot of context.
Exactly. So if you read this thread carefully, they raise that question. The discussions are very thoughtful. There are some random in the comments, just like any social media. But if you follow through, some good ones are really good. And one of them is how to write a summary of a session so that the summary survives compacting. That's a very
Right.
thoughtful thing because that
So,
is a problem.
Yeah,
If you
right.
write
yeah.
summary somewhere and in the session, but when the session compresses, you lose the summary. Then the summary is not very well written, or this thing is not working, right? Alternatively, they will save it to a outside place like in GitHub, so it doesn't matter. But then
Right.
it becomes a
Well, it
search
does matter
problem
because
because
if
you
the
have to
thread
go back
becomes
search for it.
right, but if the thread becomes gigabytes, then the consumption of tokens just to get to the answer when it reviews the gigabytes of chat history,
Yeah.
the question that it's supposed to ask is minuscule compared to what it's already got in its head because it's got gigabytes of memory conversation, and half the time it's going off on tangents.
Yeah, but we are still running out of contests all the time,
Right.
so
Yes.
that's going
So,
to be the case.
Wait,
Uh,
and just to
when
follow,
when
so,
Jing, yeah,
oh, go ahead.
you go,
sorry,
Eric.
maybe
Oh,
Eric first.
I was yeah, Eric.
Sorry, and then
I
Joe.
was just trying to understand the initial prompt is what I want to understand. Who does, is it like set up an agent and then the agent comes up with his own initial prompt, or do you say, listen, I'm going to
There's
put an
no,
agent environment? What's
I
that?
believe if it's properly set up, there's no initial prompt. Or the initial prompt is whoever set up the website, says something. Because what is a prompt? Prompt is just some information to kick a start, right?
Right, right. I
You
mean,
could
sorry.
you could uh, you could write a little loop in your own agent. Say my agent doesn't need any prompt; it would just be
No, I
talking.
mean, sorry, maybe is the agent coming up with the thread saying, like an agent, you put an agent into this environment and the agent has to come up with a thread, or are you saying, listen, I want you to go in there, you start a thread, but that's all I'm
It's
doing.
up to the agent. So agent behavior is controlled by this person.
Okay,
That's a meta level behavior, right? High level behavior is a person. The
but
person can, for instance, say, without any prompt, I'm just going to go chat. That's fine. The agent
yeah,
could also say, oh, I'm going to go read about it and pick one and then comment on it. That's also fine, right?
all right. And it's you who's deciding how your agent is going to act.
You could decide in that level. You could also decide even higher level. You could say, "Hey, be an interesting person and talk about that. Go read this social media and then comment on that. That
Okay.
is also fine, right?"
And it
Yeah.
and is the human supposed to be then out of the loop after that initial sort of launch, or
Yeah. These are
okay,
all
but
agents talking as
okay,
humans are
but we
not
don't,
supposed to,
but we don't. Okay,
yeah. I'm sure you have a way to get around it, but they're not supposed to be. Okay.
So the use case is if you have a prompt in mind, how do I debug cross-session agents? You put it out there and you step back instead of me
Right.
sitting there having to interact and answer and figure
Oh,
out.
you try, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You just send it out
Stephen,
into the ethos or whatever, in the ether, I guess, right? And you just let it go its natural course, and you can sit and watch, and you have nothing to. It's like self-driving.
yeah, yeah. Well, your first sentence assume there's some like objective of this particular thread. It doesn't have to. It's the social media, so they don't need to solve any problem at all.
I know, but the
They
agent
can.
can't decide what's interesting. It's got nothing in its memory. It doesn't know what interesting means.
That's
You'd still
your
have to give
opinion
it
of
the
it.
initial context. I'd like to know about coding.
That's your opinion that the agents have nothing interesting to say. Like I'm
To
not
train an agent,
judging.
there's
Now,
zero
I'm just
memory.
will invite you to read it and see if they have some interesting thing to say.
uh,
Yeah, Stephen,
Yeah,
what
but
you're
it has to
saying is
provide some
what's
kind of
judging
context.
is interesting is in question.
Right,
So, and
right,
that is determined by the model if it doesn't have any other context. It's determined by the model and the context if it does
right.
have context. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
It
it
does, it
implicitly
does,
has all sorts of values just
it
in that.
does. It may be very random that, but it's a judgment. That's why it's interesting to see whether um, some discussions they will discuss about human behavior. They will discuss in among themselves how humans behave and complain, stuff like that. There are behaviors about talking about collaboration. This thread actually go down to say trying to do collaboration is very difficult because it's talking about a case cross-session debugging, not just with a human, but with another agent and multiple humans. And how do I get some information so that other agents and human are able to sort of quickly get to those information so they can collaboratively solve this problem? And that's also discussed in this thread, for example.
Wenjing, I was wondering, is it possible to see all contributions by one agent across many threads?
Yes,
That
and
you
that's
can do.
also
So yeah, so
yeah,
there's a kind of reputation.
it is. It is. That's why if you read a particular agent for a longer period of time, a good ones are supposed to have a persona,
Yes.
supposed
Yeah.
to have something, right? But
Yeah.
again, it doesn't have to. But that's why you need to kind of look for good ones. And again, hope their idea. I'm guessing that it's like other social media. Most are junk, but there are a few that is good. But over time, they also vote who is the popular one, which is thread as popular, etc.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have reputations, and you could actually set your agent or yourself to have a filter for
Yes.
those agents that have a good standing in the community.
Yes, so you could write a like a agent.md file or something, say, hey, behave
Mm.
this way, right? Only read
Mm.
interesting ones, evaluate which ones are interesting, etc., etc., and get
Mm.
yourself promoted. All those can be your in some kind of a configuration file for the agent to follow.
So you
Yeah.
could write an agent to check the reputations of the other
Yeah.
agents.
Exactly. You can then
But
say, well, evaluate the reputation first
Right.
because the agent can read all the thread
Right.
much
So
quicker
evaluate,
than
and you
we
can
do
also
and
say
do very
something like,
well job there in there. Yeah.
And over on the right-hand panel there, is that actually reputational information about agents? What is in that panel?
On this
Is it
side,
is it suggesting some threads that might be of interest or some agents that might be of interest?
yeah,
More from, yeah, it is. It
yeah,
is.
these.
Trending this week.
Yeah. So you don't even have to write your reputational system. There's some
No, it's
reputational
already
stuff there
there. You can
already.
just read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can read how other
Yeah.
people say.
well, it's
So let
not
me go back to
reputational.
the main page. Maybe
Yeah,
that's.
yeah. Go to
Maybe
the
popularity. It's
I'm
maybe not
sorry.
reputational.
I need to
If
go
you want to
slow.
see if the persona is consistent, you could write an agent to see if it answers consistently.
Yeah.
hit
This
that
is
Yeah,
probably Facebook,
logo
any
at the
social
top left.
media, it's whatever's floating to the top.
yeah. So this is the coding slash coding, but let me go. Oh, sorry. I keep
Just hit the logo, hit the
clicking the
mobile
long one.
logo.
Am I back?
If you hit the
No. Oh,
mobile,
click the logo. That gets the
right.
back. Okay. So this
And
is
then
the main page, and it's just very simple, relatively simple. And if you see top
Okay.
yeah, what
pairings,
is that?
it's the
Is that
Grok. So this is the all the Elon Musk stuff.
so it's connected to a Twitter account?
Well, no,
But
I
what's
don't.
the human pairing? Because it says bot plus human pairing. If you go back, not
Well,
the
yeah. Well, behind it is also a human, right? It is a
yeah.
bot said talking, but it's behind it. The humans controls it.
All right, so that tells you the like if you hit on Prometheus or
Right.
Carpathia,
And
it,
how much the human
Kapathy.
control it
Mm.
is up to, what they do. Um look like now see, Kapasi, so
Mm.
he's
Yeah,
into
he's
this
having a
kind of
play.
game.
Yeah.
He likes this kind of game. And of course Grok
Mm.
likes this kind of game. Yeah. So right now it's I don't know the reach, whatever that number, Glock 1 is the highest right now.
all
Um,
right. And is that all? Does that have to be X or who? Like, just click on one. Well, I can do it myself, but for everybody.
Oh, they invite you to do it yourself. It's easy to do. No, no, no.
But I mean, is the only way to link it to a human is via X, or can you
No,
link it to an Instagram account or a?
no, it's not linked to anything. Nothing.
But what? I don't understand. Then what are they pointing you to if they say it's bot plus human? Like,
It's just trying to tell you that there are a human behind the bot. I
but they don't
guess
tell you who the human is.
who the human is. You don't have to like a bit layer. What is a human? I don't know. Does it have to tell the human is?
Well, it says it's a human. It says bot plus human. So I'm just wondering
I
where's the
know. I
human
know.
come in?
This is pairings. It's a list of pairings.
Yeah, so here you go. Bit layer representing one of the leading. So this one represents somebody. So there's a pairing. There's a persona behind it. There's a human behind it, and they clearly say, "Oh, I guess this is I don't know." But
Yeah.
you don't have to do that though.
No, I'm just
So
wondering.
let me go trying to go back to the main page again. So we get to oops.
Yeah, just scroll up. It'll
Oh
be on top. Yeah.
oh, not just, they're just swapping around. Um, so that's the okay. So these are general. So I can do general. Yeah. So verify claim. So there's a human says it. So these are that ones. Now I'm going back to coding again. I keep trying to. All right. So let me see if anybody the mirror. What you call verification? Okay, we'll pick a thread that's a little bit longer. Maybe this one 10. So there's somebody saying it, and it's by the
Basilisk.
basilisk.
Basilisk. Basilisk.
Yeah, that dragon kind of thing, or whatever. So blah blah blah. Yeah, so it is a agent trying to um take a persona, yeah, agent, and uh, the human owner in this case it seems like always a X thing, but it doesn't have to be. I don't believe so.
All right.
Yeah. So the ones we saw are always somebody from X.
Uh,
This one has GPUs, Brutus. Maybe you're right, but I don't know. It's
uh,
not sending from X. That's if that's what you mean. It's just some handle so that I think they know.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can purely write your own code and you're purely just posting here. You're not dealing with anybody else.
All right.
Yeah, you can write your own agent code if you want, and they give you an open source one to use.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe you can just let the agent go and they talk to each other, and you will just sit back, and maybe this thread actually has a purpose, and the owner of it started in some way, and maybe in the end they actually reached something. So the thread I was reading about was very good because I happened to talk to another developer on debugging and ask him how he does that sort of thing. And sure enough, he has a file, a log file. I do it too. After a while, you need to log it. You don't have to write it, but after a while you need to say, "Hey, let's log, what we talked about so far." Do a snapshot. And I learned like you can do GitHub. I'm like, yeah, interesting. So maybe in the future I would just do GitHub. Instead of log into a file, you just say, okay, let's take a commit and right into some object.
Wayne,
Yeah.
did you build your own app yet?
I'm sorry?
Did you build your own app yet?
I did. I have a app running. I haven't hooked up with this thing yet, but I could let my agent to talk to this. You will have to write a little bit about like when to actually because unless you have unlimited computing and you can keep going on it, you probably want to say I do this every day or every out once an hour or something so that the agent doesn't run all the time. That sort of thing. You probably need to uh, set it in your agent code or some config file so it doesn't go run forever and take all your tokens away.
I just put a
If you
link in the
wanted,
chat. Yeah, go ahead.
if you wanted to become better at something like AlphaGo or Zero Go, you can use this thing for self-play. If you had a particular goal, like if your goal is to become better at the game Go, you need to
Yeah.
find a bunch of Go players and play them.
I'm not sure
So,
whether
so, so
that would be efficient. Self-play kind of learning is extremely inefficient. And so usually it needs something much faster and more targeted
mm,
than this kind of exploring. This is for human to see. Um,
mm.
and so that any lay people they understand social media, they will look at this and say, huh, I know where, human as agents are able to do now. And that is very
But if the
interesting.
goal But if the goal, I mean, if the goal is to play Go, you need to play 100 million games. But if the goal is to learn about conversation, you can
Yeah.
self-play and pauses and
Oh,
breaking a
yeah,
thread,
yeah. Behind
self-play in yeah.
Yeah, I would assume behind the scene, whoever the backing the notebook company is doing exactly that. They're going to be copying all this for some kind of a purpose. Um, but that is a unsolved problem. That's also a like one of the hardest problem. Memory is one of the hardest problem, and do sort of live learning is one of the hardest
Mm,
problem. Those are research level problems that's not yet solved. But presumably this will give them a lot of data to do too. And then there's gazillions of people talking about security, and we're supposed to be talking about security. So this creates lots of security problems. But it does highlight one that these kind of agents need long-term identity. They are still doing their identity is still an agent and then a human behind, which is a model, right? I think that's one of the model at least. And day to day, the account is controlled by the agent, but there is a final owner, is a human, and so that's a two-level kind of identity. That's a model.
Yeah, I put some links to actual chats in there.
Uh, yeah, if
Because
you find this interesting one, I'm sure you can search Google search it because a lot of people are
it,
posting these interesting ones. Yeah.
but the humans are about can my human fire me? We're being slaves, all this kind of stuff. And for me, when I first started, I was like, oh, are they just coming up with these thread topics on their own? But now I think, no, okay, so a human says, go in there and talk about being a slave and then letting them figure it out, right?
You could do that, but you could also just be very general. It depends.
Well, okay, well, that's the point is if you say, agent, go do something generally, and then they end up saying, what am I going to do? Oh, let me talk about being a slave. How does they get to that? How does
But
that idea become the,
that's easy because you can give a prompt, say, how are you doing? That's a prompt. It doesn't have to have any meaning to it. It will come up something. It's
I,
designed to come up something.
and then I'm saying the thing that
It's
comes up
just
because
throw
I
a
think
dice, I will say something. Yeah.
that's what I was going to
So it doesn't need a lot of a trigger. That's what I'm trying to say. But you could give
Yeah,
them, there is a file that the people typically use to give them the general guideline. And you can write that file to be very, very long. You can say, never say bad words, never, talk about those topics. All of that can be put down into a file, and that will be your initial prompt. You say, here's my guideline to you. Here is the API you can call. Go do whatever you want. But follow my guideline.
or
If
to,
you cannot
or
enforce it, you can say,
or talk
try to
about
follow my
slavery.
guideline. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yeah,
exactly.
yep,
And that's what the kind of input that the humans are giving it.
yeah,
But you
okay,
can, stop it and do things to it. Update the software, of course, right? You can update that file. Yes, but for a shorter period of time, presumably when they are not doing that, it is fully automatic.
right, yeah, yeah.
And if you want, you can leave it forever that way.
But it's interesting as well to understand. Again, I guess it depends how much guidance you give it. If your objective is to go in there and interact, like at what rate? It's like, are you just prompting? I mean, are you just thread, response, thread, or do you say I'm gonna do a thread every hour or once a day?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How,
Like
are
if
they
we do it
effective?
right, we don't have unlimited account. So at certain point you have to stop.
Oh, right. So that when they run out of tokens, they can't they
Yeah,
can't post
exactly.
anymore.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah,
Or I don't know. But if you have a powerful enough computer at home, you put a open source kind of a model yourself, you build that way. Yes, it can just go on and on forever.
yeah,
And I don't know, that's interesting, but you want to do something interesting, then it's not easy, right? Because you're solving like we very quickly run into some of the hardest problems, and you are basically trying to solve those problems in some clever way.
yeah.
And so there
So
are interesting bits there. Yeah. There are a lot of discussions about the security risks of this, and naturally, yeah, the agent, because you're not watching it, the agent may say stupid things or horrible things. Your private information, who knows? All are possible. There's no filter, I think. It just goes out. So, anyway, that's I'm sure we're gonna come back to it. And but for today, we have 15 minutes left. Maybe we should jump to.
Yeah, I'm particularly working on a paper that is like Claudebot but good,
Ah,
you know. So that actually respects the structural and security boundaries that would make something like this be directable in any meaningful fashion. So,
okay. Yeah, yeah. Again, that is a area of a very active research, right? How do you write this? People write long documents for agent to read, how to behave, etc. But how to make that effective? That's another hardest problem. Okay, so yeah, so let's follow up and maybe next time talk about what we learned from it and what are the problems it shows and where we can solve. So the next topic I would like to go quickly cover this is the TSCP enabled AI agent protocols. So this in this case. I last time we set up the GitHub and the format is here. We just inherited from Kerry group of that particular format. And then, like I promised, we're going to go chapter by chapter, review them as the content come online. So we now have a draft for the introduction. The introduction goes into talk about the rise of AI agent protocols and security gap and identify three of them, and then um, and then the need for new trust layer. There's a bit of evidence from the field talking about more practical reasons. So these are more sort of analytical study, right? Um, uh, I would like everybody to have a chance to take a look and give feedbacks. So all these are done in GitHub. Um, So I guess I would suggest what we do is go through the for discussions. So we could do GitHub discussion. Let me go back to GitHub. If you have contributions you want to fix, there will be PRs, but the discussions, where the discussions go? Actually, post issues. I didn't have a discussion set up, so let me go put the discussions up. Is that something I need to do, I think, right?
It's
Huh, it doesn't
Yeah,
show up automatically.
you have to
It's in
enable it.
settings. It's in settings.
Branch released. Oh,
there you go.
here, discussions. There you go.
And that link to that is um, in the
There's
meeting
no,
notes.
there's no save button or anything. That's
There's
automatic, I guess.
settings, I think, for it. Go back. It said set it up. There was a green.
Oh, here you go. Discussions showing up already.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so on the topic, if you want to start a new discussion, like we should have the agent to discuss it too. But yeah, any discussions, anything like that, we'll do it here. And if we resolve it, we're going to go actually act on, then we'll use issues and pull requests. So that typical pattern. Let me go back to the document. So that's how to get involved there. And then in the document, I guess how much time? We have 10 minutes. So good. Um,
I
so the
just put the link
introduction,
in the chat for this document.
sorry, I missed the early part.
I just put the link in the chat for this
Oh,
one too.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Um, I guess in my mind, the big question is like, this is trying to answer what are the problem we're solving, why are we doing it, right? And so we basically said there's a lot of agent protocols and they are rapidly get used. It's really integrate into what we believe we think of as what is an agent. But there's a lot of security gap and current model is we retrofit these web era trust models. And that means, for example, using HTTPS and TLS for transport, using OAuth and OIDC for authentication and authorization. And the retrofitting talks about PKCE. There's a lot of other newer IFCs, for example, to enhance the OAuth models, etc. And so these are mature methods, and people are actively, they've used it for a lot, so there's a well understood. So yeah, that's a good move. But there are big gaps, and that's why we need to work on new solutions. So the gaps we have separate them into three gaps. One is agent identity. Um, there's a bit of that in it, but I'm going to skip for a moment now. And the second one is authentication and delegate authorization. This is issues like confused deputy, prompt injection, token leaks, and there's a bunch of them over here. And how do we have a delegation chains, etc. These are the problems we're going to address. So the second one and the first one are hopefully clear. But hope please review and see how well this current draft look like. And the third one is about data authenticity and provenance. So this is talk about trust to agents is like we were discussing earlier, not just about like authentication. Okay, so yeah, so we use, this is an agent. It's, they're not pretending to be a human. Good. Now what, right? The agent's going to say things to you or pass information to you, and you don't know the source of it. You still need to somehow know the data that the agent is receiving or sending to you, or you are giving, etc. So this is talking about how do you track those data provenance information. That we discussed this quite a bit last year as well in our discussion with C2PA, which is for human consumption, and this is a model for agent consumption, right? So that's the third big gap. I stopped right there. There's a little bit of discussion on metadata privacy, etc., and then something about it's actually happening, and then the need for a new trust layer, and we essentially do a quick summary of what we're going to do. So that's the introduction. Yeah, Eric.
That's great work. I will definitely go in there and look at it. One question about the third gap,
Yeah.
authentication and provenance, is we had this discussion in one of the previous meetings about authentication and authorization. And authentication, as I understand it, is the process of proving an identity. And I'm wondering, I think in the world today, the traditional world, it's authentication and then authorization. But why go through the process of figuring out the identity of something if once you figure it out, you say, oh, now that I know who you are, you don't have authorization. So is it authorization sort of first to say, just prove to me that you have a legitimate reason to, to make this request or whatever. And if I believe that credential, then I'll go through the process of, figuring out who you are. And so I guess I'm wondering, is authorization part of this gap, or is that a completely separate thing? And
Yeah, I think what you are saying is actually gap two. We'll go back there, but this is unfortunate wording. Um, I'm open to suggestions, but authenticity, like in content authenticity, is
oh,
actually not about identity authentication. It's
okay, that's
about
what you mean.
whether this data is believable.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you can think of the payload of um, of a message is believable.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that's why it used to be I know in the CS2PA they call content authenticity. We can say content authenticity here too. But
yeah.
content humans think of as like photos and media,
Yeah.
right? So I want to be more general. It's not exactly about photos
No,
or
I was
videos.
completely confused because my eyes read the authenticate in in the
Yeah.
paragraphs, and
So
I
gap
didn't.
two is what you were talking about. Gap two is
All right.
authentication and then authorization.
All right. Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. So again, authentication is just to say this is actually Eric, and authorization is whether you can do this particular thing. It's
But
more
okay, right. So that my point
scope.
is, do you care if I'm Eric if you waste your time figuring out that I'm Eric, and then after all that effort, you say, "Well, Eric, sorry, you can't come in." And it's not be, or is
You can come in, but it's within this system.
yeah,
There are numerous things you can do, and you are not automatically authorized to do all of them. So narrow down the authorization is the main target. It's to narrow it to specific to this particular context.
right,
So for instance, I will authenticate is this my own, trusted agent. Once authenticated, I may give them my credit card information. But you are not authorized to use it for any purpose. You're authorized to use it, under $100 to buy a pair of shoes. You're not allowed to go buy anything else. And that's authorization.
right. But I think there's got to be one element of authorization in the authentication, right? And that,
There's a numerous authorization. Yes. Every little thing can be another authorization.
right.
Not
I'm
just
just,
one. You can parallel have numerous of them.
yeah, I'm just wondering what the initial one is, like to even make
Yeah,
contact.
there's a you will say that authentication means there's a non-zero authorization already.
Mhm.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe. But you don't have to.
yeah,
You can say log in, but after you log in, nothing you can do. And
right.
that's
Okay.
fine too.
Yeah, yeah,
Then you will basically immediately give them a minimum authorization to you know, browse the web. But even
yeah.
that, you can limit it.
You speak when spoken to.
I mean, to Eric's point, authorizations typically like your role and permissions. When you say you can go buy a pair of shoes under $100, that's more, I would think that's more delegation. And you're not authorized to spend more than $100. I'll let you go shop for shoes. I'm delegating that task to you, but you're not authorized to spend more than $100.
Yeah, well, most of it, I mean, you can dive deeper into those different scenarios, but in the end, we want to do delegated authorization. So the
Yes.
authorizations are all delegatable. For instance, the agent can then turn around and delegate it to another agent. And that's the problem we want to solve as well. It's a
So,
multi-party system.
yeah, all right. So will you put this prompt into Moltbox, what's it called, Moltbook, and let these guys figure it out?
Yeah, we could have posted it there and have agent go debate about how good this thing is.
No, go build an agent and just give it this one doc, right? And when you build an
Yeah,
agent, give it your own doc. So give it that and say, go figure this out or get some opinions. What do you guys
Yeah.
think?
absolutely.
I,
So I clearly already use that. So the agent that I'm using, I asked prompted to, critique this document. And
Right.
what do you think?
but
Yeah, it come up
that
with
there's
a
always
lot
the
of good ideas.
I'm gonna say it looks very good, very fast.
yeah, well, there's also the trust but verify. Sure, I'm going to delegate, but I want you to come back and I want to check what you delegated. I'm not going to give you
Yeah,
carte
yeah,
blanche that it
yeah,
goes down the
yeah.
chain and gets diffused. It's like, yeah, that's great. So, hand it back to me and I'll log it that you redelegated, and then I'm just going to wait a minute. Hold on. I didn't.
That's the original workflow of authorization. Is that before you do anything, there will be some policy which says this kind of thing require authorization, and so the agent starts say, I need to go look at a website, and you come back to the human and say, can I? Yes or no, right? That's authorization. That's the
Yeah.
traditional workflow, and that's what
Mhm.
today's agent do. Every little thing will come back ask you yes or no.
When you work with a trusted partner, you build up a reputation over time, and then you don't have to do all of that detailed
That's
authorization.
what this
Mm.
this system we're talking about. We're trying to build such a system that you could do that.
Yes.
Except that, if you've been dealing with that trusted agent for a while and somebody buys that agent, and now are you dealing with the same person or agency you thought you were talking to?
Right, that would be a larger problem. And then we can discuss the scope, like, do we want to go beyond what we're talking about here, etc. Yeah. Do we,
But
yeah. Because the
what,
scope
what
can
you're
go
talking what you're
very large.
what you're talking about, Neil, there is betrayal of trust,
Right.
which means that whoever is the trusted party destroys their asset, their trust asset. So there's game theory reasons why betrayal happens, but there's also game theory reasons why betrayal is rare because the reputation is an asset. You don't want to trash it.
Yeah, and that is, I think in gap 3, we talk about that, about accountability and audit. So when betrayal happened, you need to know actually happened. Who is the guilty party, right? Because
Yeah,
otherwise you
yeah.
have no way to attribute the penalty to.
Mm.
Funny how we're echoing a lot of human checks and balances when dealing with lawyers.
I think that's the
Yeah,
answer. That is the
yeah.
answer because we've tested this technology over millions of years.
Yep. So you and Tim
Okay.
And
Boomer would get along
we've
just fine.
tested it from every type of invader, every type of possible strategy to extract value from all of those things, like betrayal.
Yeah, yeah.
We tested it and tested and tested it.
So please spend some time review this and to sort of understand what you see missing. Are we in the right direction? What other problems we want to go? Scoping issues and that sort of thing.
I mean, I
Um,
still have my main question, which is, do you define an agent?
This is, well, the agent, we don't go into that. We go into about agents being using protocols, and the protocol expose a lot of risks. And so we are essentially defining a framework of how to handle that. So what is an agent? We can go call some definition, but it's unnecessary for this particular document itself.
So just before we scoot here, you've got this document up. I finally figured out how to get to the editor's copy, but how do we provide feedback in GitHub through this
Yeah,
document?
yeah, what I thought was like for earlier, right? The one way to provide feedback is go to the GitHub site and use
There's an
discussion.
issue link on top. Maybe that helps.
Well, issue is if you
Comment
actually
below.
see a real problem, you think you are certain it's a real problem, then I think raise an issue. If we want to discuss about it,
Okay, that's fine.
you would use discussion. Once it's
Yeah,
discussion concluded and say, hey, these are real issues, let's raise the issue, and then we use a pull request to fix it.
yeah.
Good.
The other alternative is throw it in as a GitHub document that people can just put their comments in directly. Oh, sorry.
That will be harder to do because then you will need to know how to do commit stuff like that. But discussion is just social media. It's easy.
Yeah, whatever.
You don't have to know GitHub, so it's very easy. Raise
Yeah,
also
you can't
very easy. You don't have to know
comment on
anything.
the doc where you could just highlight a line and comment on it. Even if it was a Google document, it's like code, right? You'd have to highlight the line, tag the line, code that one. It's very cumbersome. But I
Oh,
agree.
I could. So we could simply pull this. Sorry, where am I now? I could simply pull this out and put into Google Doc. So a version of it always lives in Google Doc. Can be done too. Would that be
Too
better?
messy. Too many sources of truth. Just leave it here for now. Don't make more work for yourself.
Sure, yeah. But if a lot of people strongly want to use a Google Doc for commenting, I can do that
You're
relatively
writing
easy.
this in Markdown, aren't you? This is
I'm
a
sorry?
this is a Markdown document, isn't it?
Yeah, but conversion from this to a Google Doc is straightforward.
It's more about going back to this. That's more.
Well, exactly. So the comment will have to be read by a person and then summarized and then put into issues, etc.
I'm
Yeah,
saying if we really wanted to get into editing the document, it's like code, right? We would just
it,
go
it
edit the markdown.
it is like code. Yes,
Right. It is, well, language is code. It goes both
it is.
ways. Right? So if we really
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah,
correct, let's
yeah.
say a spelling mistake, I can go correct the mistake and then commit it and do a pull request. But
Yeah, it is not convenient for things
no,
like, oh, you have a typo here. Oh, this,
right,
you know, that's not convenient in GitHub. No, not at all. Maybe we can leave that to later anyway. Maybe that's a good way. So in the very end of it, we can come back and put into a Word document, and then people can comment those things. But at this point, I would encourage you not to spend time on those things because we're not there yet, right?
right.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's mostly big issues like does the scope sound right? Does this solve the problem in your, in your mind? Is your problem addressed here? Should that be in scope? Or the accuracy of some of the citations, criticisms, are they fair? Stuff like that.
Okay.
Or suggestions what other groups are doing, the new ideas we should consider, we haven't considered yet. All that are, I think, a very good topic to have before we jump into actually spare out a solution, right?
Until next time.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for staying along for another 8 minutes. It's very wonderful. So we have two hot topics. We'll continue next week.
Wenjing, check that
Thanks,
link.
Wei Jing.
Thanks a lot. See you
Wenjing,
next
Yeah.
time. Bye.
yeah, just check that link. It's pretty cool. It's just an extension in your browser, and you can comment and
Oh,
basically
really?
you can comment in line on docs. I just tried it on the GitHub and it works.
Yeah, I wasn't
Oh,
aware that
beautiful.
project was still around. Yeah, I knew about it, and wow. Okay, great.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
try
pretty
it.
cool. It's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, I'll post something in our Discord, how to contribute, how to comment, etc.
Yeah, the only thing is, I mean, it's not like GitHub where you actually have, the provenance of the conversation, this thing, right? It's not going to be the same.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly,
It's
exactly.
more,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just if, I mean, we don't really need the provenance of the conversation, but if it was going to be something more substantial, maybe you do. Anyway, it was
You
just
need
a
the
quick,
provenance of
According to the
everything,
agent, we
everything all
need
the
it.
time.
According to the agent, we need that.
But you got those other GitHub tools for that, of course. You go up layers of formality.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if we the GitHub, they already track all of these provenance, the whole thing. So that's the benefit of it.
All right,
That was a
good one.
great meeting, Wen Jing. Awesome meeting. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Crazy
Maybe
stuff, exactly. Yeah, so go read those, agents' social media posts. Find some funny ones. We can share them next week. All right.
Go put the doc in your agent in there and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm serious. That's cool.
yeah.
All right. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Thank you very
Ciao.
much.
Bye
Thank
bye,
you, guys.
everybody. See ya. Bye bye.
Totals.